So I'll tell you, Cage. I, for one, as an investor, don't like uncertainty. And now it seems like order is restored in the world. Mr. Patrick Mahomes is back. Kansas City sitting atop of the division. Cowboys looking terrible. Eagles looking incredible. This has been a season, as you said, of parity. Here we are, 11 weeks through the season. We don't know who's going to win in the NFL. There's no clear-cut winner in the NBA either. And cards, as the Mr. Chris Hodge, Mr. Josh Johnson, they call it like that Bermuda Triangle, right? Of the right before the holidays, right after the kind of preseason run-up. And today I feel grounded. I feel at peace. Mahomes is back. And he's kind of the bellwether stock of the market, right? Am I reading into this the right way?
I mean, their offense showed up. They're sort of. I mean, they didn't score a ton of points. Their defense looked really good against, what would have been, an offensive juggernaut, I guess, coming in. Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs have won a couple games in a row. They beat the Raiders. I did not give them, much of a chance to come out and perform the way they did today against Dallas. I thought Dallas was a better team. But, yeah, I mean, KC, I mean, look, it's a crazy league. We said it every week, and it didn't change. I mean, the Titans lost, right, to the Texans. The Bills lost to the Colts. I mean, just crazy stuff going on in the league, right? So the Patriots are in first place, sole possession of first place in their division.
Who said that would happen? Who said that would happen?
Who said they were going to go to the Super Bowl because of their defense? So we'll see, man. That's February. That's a long time away.
All right.
With this, I can't predict anyone to go to the Super Bowl right now. I mean, anyone who you predict, it's reasonable. Basically, 3/4 of the league is still feasibly there. I have a question for you.
I would
the Detroit Lions. How do they not go out and sign Isaiah Stewart as a running back right now?
Dude, you just saw that?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I mean, that's crazy stuff.
He, on 3 separate occasions, broke tackles to try to go and deck LeBron.
How's he not he should be their starting running back next week. He should be the next Bo. He should be the two-sport athlete. He should be playing for the Pistons, and he should be playing for the Lions.
From our community, I know a lot of you guys are videographers. There's a meme there. I don't know what it is. It's, Cage chasing Nat Turner when he doesn't cross his Charizard map.
Yeah, pretty much.
An example. Or, you guys are way more creative than I, but LeBron didn't even give him any time of day. I got to be honest, Cage. LeBron isn't very much a favorite right now amongst the players of the NBA. You have Enes Kanter attacking LeBron. You have Isaiah. What do they call him?
What do they call Isaiah Stewart?
Yeah, he has Isaiah Stewart's nickname.
God, or something like that. I saw it a couple times on Twitter. That was a dirty elbow from Braun.
I did. I watched it, and you guys know I'm not a LeBron guy. I didn't think there was anything dirty about it. I think he wanted to get it off.
I'll show you a video. He didn't want to get it off him. He threw an elbow at him.
Yeah, get off of me. Stop grabbing me. I'm the king. Like, we're talking about a foul shot. You guys are beating us. But you know what's interesting? I respect Beef Stew because he plays hard. They're up by 11, the Pistons. They're not having a good year, and he's boxing out on a free throw. And here's LeBron, who's in his 20th year. You know that guy in the gym who doesn't want to get boxed out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, this is just pick up ball. Stop boxing me out. So
yeah, I'm LeBron. You're not supposed to box me out. I want to just get the rebound. It's just supposed to come to me. My favorite is all of the screenshots that come out of it, all the screen grabs of Westbrook. After the last one, you got Westbrook. He's doing the whole, he's getting ready to fight. There's so many funny pictures of Westbrook.
No one's fighting Beef Stew. That guy, he's a big man. That's a big man.
Westbrook
right
like this with his hands up. He looks like, like a 1910 boxer. Like he's got his. Oh, Westbrook. Well, can Westbrook do anything right? All right, man. So that was it. I mean, that's the sports for today, right? We that's the end of the episode. We got the Lakers brawl, and we got football as parody. But I mean, your sentiment does not go unnoted, and clearly the uncertainty in basketball, and in football, it shows in the markets, right? I mean, you want to go over some of last week's stats?
Yeah, and I think this has kind of been just the topic du jour of the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. Things are flat. I mean, I don't know if you consider down 3% flat, but in our world where assets move 20, 30, 40, 50%, 3% is pretty flat week over week. I think the week before was
Football's down like 10% this week over week.
I'll get there. I'll get there. So collectible index down 3%, collectible sports cards down 3%, and memorabilia down 5%. The biggest loser, I mean, vintage was down 1.7%.
Yep.
Modern was down 4.4%. Ultra modern down 8%. Basketball down 1.7%. Baseball down 2%. Football, like Kate just said, was the big loser, down 10%. And tennis down 5%. I think that's just one or two cards. So, but yeah, football. I mean, but this is what happens. It's literally the midseason. It couldn't be more midseason if we tried, right? And that's what happens. And I don't think it's even. You know what I realized, Cage? When things
What'd
are
you
down,
realize?
you have to decipher whether things are down because the assets are down versus are people taking profits off the table to do their normal investing. What I mean by that is you could still believe, let's say you have money in Kyler Murray right now. You could still be a believer, but let's say you own 50 shares of Kyler Murray on Collectable. You might scale it back to 20 shares, 25 shares, because you want to start buying into baseball. Do you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Just scaling it back. So it could be a bit of that. It really could.
I mean, 100%, 100%. I mean, look, you're right. It's towards the end of the year. People are rearranging their portfolio at the end of the year. There's a lot of stuff that happens at the end of the year.
So all's good. All's good in the hood. So let me go through some of this data. Guys, it's crazy. It's Thanksgiving week. I still can't believe it's Thanksgiving week. The big Baba Ganoush is going to be cooking over there. He's making a turkey.
Are you making big ass turkey?
Are you making a turducken?
No, I've done that actually.
A chicken that ate a duck that ate a turkey?
Yeah, it's a duck. It's a duck inside a chicken inside a turkey. It's a good time with some stuffing inside the middle of it. So that's real nice. Listen, it's good eating. I gotta tell you, it's good eating. But I mean, listen, I gotta tell you, this has been an interesting week. A lot of auctions. A lot of auctions. Man, the Heritage auction ended. You had a PWCC auction ending. Anything kind of like stick out to you in the numbers? Anything there? I mean, the two that right off the top. I know you're a Curry guy. The Curry National Treasures RPA up 15%. That's one of those things where we talked about that. Obviously, that's performance based. It was up 11% when we met last week. It's up 15% this week. And Mahomes
I gave
cards,
that as a play. I gave that specific card as a play before the season even started. So
yeah,
I just want to let you guys know.
Yeah, so even though there was a comparison on this one. Another thing interesting, we'll get to it. So that's basketball. Football, two things to chat about. We got a bunch of things to talk about. But Mahomes, he was up this week, but I'm willing to go out and venture, I guess, to say he'll be up again. Not financial advice or any of that, but he just had a big win. I mean, this was like the signature win. I'm sure people are going to read into it that, like you said, all is right in the world. Mahomes is back, and the Chiefs are back on top of that division. The Raiders stink. Who knows what's going to happen with the Chargers? We're recording before the Chargers game tonight, but the Chargers have lost 3 of the last 4. I don't think there's any real competition for the Chiefs out AFC West. I think it's their division. I think they'll probably go on a winning run here, and they'll be they'll do their thing, and I bet you the cards show it. I don't know if it was the first, second, third, fourth. I don't remember what episode it was, but one of the plays that I gave here, and I said it was a buyout opportunity, was the Aaron Rodgers card. I on our show said it was right after Brady's call, right after the Brady contenders card had flown, and that card was a 7-figure card. I said, wow, this Aaron Rodgers card here is valued like nothing. It was like $20,000 at the time. I think it IPO'd at like 19, and there was a buyout offer that came at $30,000 this week. So. I don't know if that gets voted on. I don't know if people can accept that or not. Like we say all the time, I have fun talking about this stuff because I don't have a single share of anything in Collectable. That makes it easy for me to chat about this stuff. Nothing that I talk about is something that I own in any way, so it makes it nice and easy for me. I guess some people will give me a hard time, be like, "Put your money where your mouth is." How are you saying it's worth it? If you really believe that, buy it. But I think it's better for me to be able to, tell you that I think it's worth it, even though it's not me pumping my bags. So I did that with the Rodgers. I thought that was one heck of a play, and it still is. I mean that. Great game today. A lot of points scored, just like we said in our show and whatnot this morning. It was going to be a lot of points scored. But I think, Green Bay is still one of those teams that could come out of the NFC. And Rodgers having a great season.
Let's take a step back. When things are kind of like this, where would you be looking to deploy capital? And maybe
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a great one. I was going to save it to the end, but I have a great one about where I'd be looking to deploy capital. So I have a bunch of cards on our index here. We can go through a lot of the data. We can go through a lot of the vintage stuff. We can go through a lot of, comparison stuff that I think might be a little low, something I think might be a little high. But you're asking specifically about where I would deploy my capital now and where I'd be looking in the months going forward. If you want to share your screen, and look this one up, you can pull up the Tatis Bowman Black Label that is on here, the 2016 Bowman, right? So what you guys will notice on this, right, is
interesting
where it IPO'd, where it's at now. Tatis, 22 years old.
22 years old. You know the Tatis market.
22 years old, and he just finished third in NL MVP voting this year. Okay, last year he finished fourth, right? So you could say he's getting a little bit better, right? Look where the card is. It's basically at its low. You could take a look at the numbers and the stats on this one if you like. But this is the kind of card that I'd be looking at now because no one's looking at baseball, and especially him. People, there was a little run-up on his card because people thought he was going to win the MVP. And at times during the year, he was the favorite to win the MVP. Bryce Harper ended up winning it. But he's now back-to-back top 5 finishes, right? And there's only 2 other people who finished top 5 MVP voting as young as Tatis. It's now Soto, who also did it this year, finishing second to him, and Mike Trout, right? So this is a guy who I think it's a safe bet that he's going to continue to be in that top 5 discussion. He had 42 home runs and 25 steals this year. He did things during the year that nobody else was doing. He managed to stay healthy for the most part. He put up a great statistical season. And this is a card now that is at $6.75 a share, right? And I'm pretty sure it IPO'd, what does it say, 30-something% higher than that, right? I mean, pretty sure it IPO'd at $10.
$2.15, and it's just down even 20% just this week. And
So that's why it stuck out at me. It dropped this week because this is like officially the end of baseball, and people are probably, like you said, trying to rearrange their portfolios. And I saw this card, and I said, all right, obviously it was up a little bit because maybe there was some people still hanging on that he might win the MVP. I think it was a pretty foregone conclusion that he was not going to win it this week. He got 2 first-place votes. Bryce Harper was pretty, a pretty easy choice for most. I think he got half of the first-place votes. But this is where I'd look, and if not that card, other baseball who are playing. I mean, there's an Acuna on here who's been out of sight, out of mind as much as you can be for a World Series winning team because he's been injured. I'd be looking at baseball over the next month. That Tatis stuck out at me just because of how much it dipped this week, and just where it is relative to where it's been trading.
All right. You'd be proud of me. You should see how much food I ordered for Sunday dinner.
Nice. I'm happy. That's good.
I got like tacos and like steak and a little bit of that. Sorry, I digress.
Oh, you're good. I mean, listen, that and vintage baseball is another place. Like, I'd be looking, but the right stuff. I'd be looking at comps, right? So, I mean, there have been a load of recent auctions, right? And some recent auctions prices are coming in lower than what Collectable is. But I mean, there are ones out there like the Jackie Robinson. The 53 Topps Robinson, right? Heritage had a result of $52,000. That's only, it's on Collectable at 43. So, I mean, you're talking about like, 20%-ish, maybe a little bit more of room between those two. It's only one comp. We talk about it all the time, but those are the kind of things that you're going to try to look for where to put your money. Shoot.
What I love is sometimes we get deep into the data, and I think that's valuable. But I think data without perspective is missing context, right? So I love the metaphor that came from you going back to the tees. It's going back to the well. It's going back to your bread and butter. And when things aren't moving, the best way to make money in the future is to go back to the markets that you know the best, right? Because there's a part of like catching trends. That's one way to win. There's a part of dip buying, like a card is oversold. But also when things are flat, if you follow a market, if you know a stock, if you know whatever it is that you invest in and you know how it moves, you're able to understand that, wait a second, I know Tatis market, I know how it's moved, I tracked it the last 2 years. Oh, this is the same exact thing that happened in December 2020, the same thing that happened in December 2021. This happened in December 2019, even before the boom. I know what to look for. So I love that you went back to the well. You went back to the thing you know the best.
Well, I mean, it stuck out on me in the data, right? If you look at it, I mean, that was a heck of a drop this week. And look, baseball is now, I guess, officially done because the awards have been, awarded, and we're not really going to be talking baseball. And it could get worse before it gets better because December 1st we might have a lockout, and the sides might be at odds with one another, and who knows what's going to happen with the hot stove talk and the free agency because no one's allowed to sign anyone and no one's allowed to, do contracts and stuff if there's a lockout. And there may be a time there, as basketball heats up, as football heats up, where people are really not looking at baseball, and that might be the time to pounce.
What
Can I tell you one sale that ended that I was watching, and we mentioned it last week, and it's definitely worth noting, right? Because can you pull up the Exquisite box?
Sure.
Because if you remember the 2003-4 Exquisite box, we've been talking about this one, and it's one of those things, right, where the comparison that was utilized previously was the case that sold on Golden for I think like $972,000, which would put it's a 3-box case, so that would put it at like $300,000 and change per box. Obviously, we talk about a premium for sealed case, but not knowing how much that premium would be. But on Collectable, we see that that box was significantly under $300,000. It was in the ones. And we're like, wow, I mean, that's, that's one of those places where, there's not a lot of them. And but what did it close at this week? A market cap here.
2%. A pretty flat week.
But what's the market cap? It's 100 and change, right? When you go on there, if you scroll down on that one.
147,537.
Right. So I'm 99% sure that PWCC had one end for $102,000 last night in their premier auction. So I looked this up. I can check it again, but let's just go 100% sure. $102,000 was a sealed box of this close last night. So it's there are not a lot of comps out there, and this is important stuff for folks to know, right? Because we had been coming at this with the last comp was a sealed case and not knowing how much of a premium there would be for that case being sealed, right? But because there haven't been too many sealed boxes sold on that for a comp, but now we do. Now again, one comp one way, one comp the other way. It doesn't mean that the $140,000 collectible price is crazy, but the narrative of a sealed box is worth $300,000 and change because the golden case sold for $972. We now have another data point that is in conflict with that, right? That data point now from a sale last night at $102,000 sealed box in the PWCC Premier auction would swing that pendulum in the other direction, right? So it's just another one of those, interesting things to watch, right? Where you do have these comps that come up and you want to make sure that you're aware of them. Kind of one of those things we're trying to bring you, right? Because we've talked about that box. That's a cool box. Like if you're into sealed wax, that's the iconic sealed wax that's out there, right? I mean, that's, you can get Nat Turner posted a picture of his LeBron Exquisite RPA out of 23 today that wasn't a BGS holder and is now in a PSA holder. But to give PSA credit, he crossed the old BGS 8 to a PSA 7.5. It didn't go from BGS 8 to a 9 PSA or anything like that. So, it is what it is, I guess. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that could be in that box, right? So
I have one too, Cage. And mine is more anecdotal, and this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a ton of money being made in crypto and NFTs. And it gets me thinking, where are these people going to eventually put their money into to have a bit more of a safety, a little bit more peace of mind? You know, still wanting to gamble on art, but maybe not necessarily have it in all of your money in one space, which is digital collectibles. And
Yep.
I think it's into memorabilia. Like I think game used Kobe stuff, it's down this week. But I think that kind of stuff is really susceptible as you start to see this like young millionaire kind of environment that we live in, right? Because think about it, man. Like you saw FaZe Banks, right? He's a gamer out of LA, the whole FaZe clan. They made like a $250,000 this weekend from like flipping a CryptoPunk, right? Well, those guys love Kobe. Those guys grew up in LA. Those guys love Jordan, right? They love Shaq. They love Iverson, whoever they love. But I think eventually when they have, 10 million, 15 million in their crypto portfolios, I think that they're going to start looking at, it'd be kind of cool to have like a game used signed jersey of Kobe. Or, hey, it'd be kind of cool to have Kobe's rookie jersey debut. Don't you think so, Gage?
Yeah. I mean, especially when you talk about rarity. I mean, people now in the crypto world, NFT world especially, are now more in tune with rarity, right? And how much is out there in supply and demand. And, you talk about some of these memorabilia items, there's not much of them out there. Certainly less than the 10,000 NFTs that most of these people are making their money on. So I understand what you're saying. I mean, it really does. It comes down to, a scarcity, a supply and demand. And, some of these memorabilia items, from Kobe's final season sneakers to whatever else might be on there, there are some pretty rare items, George Mikan stuff. How much George Mikan stuff is out there,
Correct. And here's how I see it. Like imagine these guys have some crypto in their wallets because they've had some success. And this is just one example, but what I'm seeing is people making tons of money on stocks, tons of money on crypto, tons of money on NFTs. Well, maybe they're going to be like, hey, can I just wire you guys, 500,000 in Ethereum and buy out that jersey?
Yeah. I mean, it's a buyout offer, right? I mean, that's
a buyout offer,
right? Yeah.
And I mean, Golden, do they take crypto, Cage?
Yes, they do.
Yes. So it's no longer surprising. It's accepted. It's another payment method. And here are people who've made money in this space. I think that as much as I'm a believer of crypto and blockchain, I think that it's a little bit out of whack. There's a bit too many players in the crypto NFT world, and it's a bit inflated. I do believe that over the last few weeks and months, the memorabilia space has been a little bit overlooked. And I believe it's like a pendulum, right? It ebbs and flows. I think right now it's very heavy towards the crypto NFT side. I think it's going to rebound. I think we're going to see memorabilia buyouts, and I think memorabilia prices in general go up because some of these buyouts are actually going to be rejected.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of in the trend, and it's interesting to talk about the money swinging. Can I give one more card?
Sure.
That I was surprised at this week's movement. You could pull it up to share with the folks if you like. It's on Collectable, and it's one of those things where I'm not saying this is guaranteed going up. We don't guarantee anything, but it doesn't mean that this is going to be cheap this week. But I can understand why people have maybe started selling a little bit just because it's a long basketball season. But I think if it stays where it is, or even trickles down a little bit more, it presents a nice buying opportunity because, when the season ends and there are meaningful games being played in the playoffs, this card will likely be one that people are looking to get into. I'm talking about none other than our favorite Chrome Refractor Kevin Durant rookie card, which if you take a look, if you can share it, that would be cool. But you'll notice that week over week that card actually came down this week. I was a little surprised by that because, Durant and Curry are probably playing neck and neck. See the little dip there for, MVP. If he's not one in the voting now, he's two. And what do you got as a market value on that? Scroll down a little bit for us.
23,187.
23. Yeah, I mean, there are recent comps on this, 25, 26, 27. So, I mean, it's definitely lower than recent comp sales. I've talked about this one probably 3 or 4 times. So I've been watching it as it moves. And this was one that was higher than comps and has come down. And then the comps have met it. And the comps have now actually started to go a little higher. Remember, we talked about how it diverged. And now it actually came down a little bit more. And I think a lot of that has to do with, Curry just being right now, they're giving Curry the MVP award, which, guess what, guys? They gave Tatis the MVP award in the first month of the season also. They gave Russell Wilson the NFL MVP last year halfway through the season. None of those guys did it for the whole year. It's a long haul. I'm not saying Curry's not going to win it. He very well might. But take a look at the Rams numbers also, and it is a long season. And I think that's part of why there's a little bit of you'll see a little bit of a dip in it. But anybody who thinks that the Nets won't be there playing meaningful games in the playoffs is just not watching basketball.
I'm with you. So just really quick. So Kobe final season sneakers down 18% this week. Kobe Reebok Iverson retro sneakers down 14%. Kobe first white 24 jersey down 18% this week. So that's just a little recap of what I was talking about. Let me give you guys a little bit of just data. Make with it what you want. We got the 1958 Topps Maris rookie card. It's down 12% this week to a market cap of 24K. Heritage
card,
auction. Heritage auction just closed at 23, so basically neck and neck. Clemente up 10% this week to a market cap of 94. Heritage closed at 93, even.
Yep.
Koufax PSA 9 rookie card flat this week. Heritage closed at 384. They have a market cap of 413. A little bit expensive, but nothing to like bat your eye at. Topps Mickey Mantle PSA 9, pretty even 3% this week. Heritage closed at 114, and actually the market cap on Collectable is 103. So you might see a little bit of movement there. Topps Jackie Robinson PSA 8, market cap of 43, where the Heritage closed at 52. Cage mentioned that. That might be a play. That's 10-15% discount. Topps Maze, you mentioned that one as well, down 34% this week. Heritage auction closed at 204. Market cap here is 231. But again, you have to account for visual appeal, right? Because this is vintage. It's not true apples to apples because every PSA 5 is different. So just something to take into consideration. Anything else before we wrap, Cage?
Yeah, I mean the Ruth SGC 8. There was an SGC 8. It's funny you have the comp. It's normally you don't get an SGC 8 and an SGC 8 that's sold, right? So there's a Ruth on Collectable SGC 8 came up this past week to a market cap of 173,000. Heritage result was 288. I will tell you that Heritage 8 was really nice. You take a look at that card.
I'll pull it up for you guys
if you want to. It was a really clean route. Those 33s, they're a little smudgy. They have a little rough edges. Look at how nice that card is. I mean, it's perfect centered. It's got there's no print issues on it. The borders are beautiful with white. I mean, that is a really nice card. So I saw this one when Heritage is ending. I have this card. I have this card in the PSA 4.5, and my PSA 4.5 looks nothing like this. Nothing like that. I mean, this is a really nice card. So it didn't surprise me that this sold with a premium.
It's a really nice date.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing, right? You said, not all these cards are the same. SGC 8, but I will tell you, as nice as it is, that's sold for 288, and the one on Collectible is 173, right? That's a heck of a premium. I mean, it's a nice card, but
it'll bounce. This is why, dude, I got to tell you, Cage, for what we lack in a lot of talents, I don't know if you think of yourself as talented. I don't think I'm super talented. We're in this stuff. So, this is the exact same thing that happened with the Mantle 8. You remember that Mantle 8 was trading at 800,000, and then a beautiful one sold for 2.1 mil. And then in the next week, it goes from 800,000 to 1.1 mil to 1.4. And then now you get to, adjust for visual appeal. But this card's going to move. And how much? That's for the market to decide, but it's going to try to catch up.
I love it. How about some IPOs coming up? You excited for any of these? I mean, there's going to be none on Thursday, right? Because that's a turkey IPO. But one of my favorite cards that I happen to sell for way too cheap is coming up on market on Tuesday. Magic Bird Irving, 1980 Topps PSA 9.
Beautiful
$10
card.
A share, market cap $29,950. Nice card. Nice card.
Michael Jordan Fleer SGC 10. I got to be honest with you guys. That card in an SGC is tough, and it's what Cage has talked about. It's not that with that card, they're not grading condition. They're grading. It's an admission ticket. It's hey, I got a PSA 10. Yeah, you got an SGC 10 that's great, but it doesn't have that same kind of punch, right, to it.
Yep.
And same with
You're
the
at table
BGS
two.
95.
You're at table
So,
two. You don't get to table one with that.
and at the same time, you look at a BGS 95, and I still think that's where the value's at. So, an SGC 10, I mean, at IPOs at 189, that's tough, man. That's expensive for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, one just sold at Heritage for 192. But again, those are very condition sensitive. The pricing is what the pricing is.
But
And
if it's sold at 192 and it's IPOing at 189, think about the investors getting in. What are they getting in for? $3? There's not a lot of meat on the bone, as we sometimes say, right? So that's where I stand.
true.
People love SGC, so everyone's different. We got Harmon Killebrew. That's just an all-time top 10 name. I don't know who he is or what he's done, but he sounds important. Sounds like he could run, like CNN and play basketball at the same time.
Really? So, that's where you went? He's going to run CNN? I think, listen,
now you're on the air with Harmon Killebrew, and he's going to.
If I was in a fraternity, hypothetically, and I was like basically, in charge of giving out like rush names, your Delta Tau Chi name is Flounder. Your Delta. Think of what a great name. Your pledge, Harmon Killebrew. Go over there and kill a brew. No, it's not like a beer drinking name. Go kill a brew.
He would be the president. He might be a 29-year-old, graduate senior who's still in Pike and parties. Yeah, I would.
How about Al Kaline? You like that one?
I don't know who that is.
Too?
I don't. Dude, that's one.
I love it, man. We gotta get you some vintage baseball stuff. We gotta get you into some vintage baseball stuff. That would be pretty nice. So Al Kaline, there was just a big auction of his stuff. The Heritage auction actually had a bunch of his. He was one of these like who does it now? It's Pat Neshek does it, and he gets into fights with Zach Greinke. Because he's always bothering Zach Greinke for autographs. And Greinke's like, leave me alone, this guy. Every time I see him, he's asking me for it. So he gets autographs. So like, people he's playing with the whole deal. I guess Al was sort of like that, and he had like, a bunch of autographed balls, whole thing, stuff, like you name it. So I don't know if he got any, but my friend was looking at a bunch of autographs because his name is also Al. So all these autographed balls that this guy got to Al, like with the utmost respect for you, Mickey Mantle, because they're being personalized to a ball player named Al. So he's like, I can get him at a discount because nobody wants an Al ball. Nobody wants something personalized. But my name's Al, so I'm gonna go. I'm like, go for it. He's got a Mickey Mantle ball to Al.
Al is like great. Is like just an all-time New York name. I feel like there's a ton of Al in New York.
I have an Uncle Al.
Is that right? Like, is it a New Yorker name?
Uncle Al Fresco.
Yeah. Al's on Bedford in 96. Tell him Cage sent you.
Wait, Uncle Al did live on Bedford. Did you know that?
Really?
Did you just make that up? Uncle Al lived on Bedford Avenue. Bedford Avenue was where Uncle Al lived 100%.
I've got this.
Well done.
People used to tell me I have a pretty good intuition.
Yeah, that's pretty spooky, actually, though. Like, to name the street, it's pretty crazy. That's Brooklyn. Good roast beef sandwich.
I'm not sure if this really. Do you ever have things that happen in real life if you're not sure if they're real or it was a dream?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure this was real. So like it was like 7th grade. I went up to this girl. Her name was Emily Solomon. And I was like, I know your locker combination. I swear to God. Like I think this is a dream.
Well, that's because you were stalking her. And you watch her every move.
I wasn't stalking her because we played soccer together, actually. And I think her cute friend Mika was there too. They used to be like best friends.
All right.
So if you're listening to the shout out, awesome girls. And I literally was like, and I guessed it.
And you nailed it. You nailed the combination.
I literally opened it right in front of her eyes. I was like,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The combination an idiot would have on their luggage.
Now it was so improbable that it was like, I'm gonna go tell people no one's gonna believe me.
Listen, was that impressive? Did this young lady? Was this like the beginning of something with this young lady or no?
Dude, did you ever pants people in high school?
Wow, this one went off the rails. I'm going to take it back on.
I mean, middle school. This was 2 memories. I remember opening that, and I remember someone was holding our locker. His name was Needles. He was holding grabbing the locker.
This might be a movie. This might not have actually happened.
My best friend knows him. He was holding the locker, grabbing on, and I walked by and just pantsed him.
Oh, that's terrible. That is harassment and assault, and I'm hoping for you that the statute of limitations has run.
I was a kid.
Because
They
you've
sent me
just
to the office. They were really big fans of this thing
oh
called in-school suspension. Sit and stare at a wall. You juvenile whatever.
delinquent is what it's called.
Yeah.
Delinquent. So Needles was the name of the character played by Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers in Back to the Future 2. Needles.
Yeah.
So you sure you weren't like watching movies and you've created characters in your life named Needles?
No, Needles is very real. I almost wish he was a character. He was very
It
real.
reminds me of so we're at the holiday time. It reminds me of Scrooged, the Bill Murray, where he's telling the ghost of Christmas past all the things that happened in his life, and he's like, "I remember this one time there was this girl, blonde with pigtails." He goes, "That was the homecoming episode of Little House on the Prairie. All you did was watch TV," and he mistook the TV episodes for his life. So Needles, your friend, is actually from Back to the Future too. No, he's a real person. Not a friend. He's not a friend. He's not a friend.
I don't know why I caveat that. So that's another episode, a little story time there to bookend it. Some good stuff, really. Just kind of a flat week. I hope you could use, this episode as kind of a pulse on the market. Sometimes there'll be plays and opportunities. Aaron Rodgers was a play before the season. We gave that. Steph Curry.
There's definitely some plays, man. Baseball plays. I think that Durant is definitely a play. I mean, we talk about Zion. The Zion National Treasure actually ticked back up a little bit this week. So people are starting to get ready for maybe a Zion comeback. If you want to look for like bargain stuff, we can wrap this up. But can you spend 30 seconds? I'm just totally riffing here, but I know you, and I know you know basketball better than anybody I know. What do you think of Kawhi? And I'll tell you why I asked this, because I don't know. You may say, hey, he's a bargain right now. You may also say, no, he's overrated, and it doesn't matter when he comes back. That team's not even in the top 4 in the West. I'll let you get to that. But the reason why is that Kawhi Prism basket, the one that has 30 of his Prism PSA 10s in it, it's about as low as it's been, right? It dipped again this week because Kawhi is out of sight, out of mind. And, the price on that fell a lot. So that could be, if you are a believer that Kawhi can come back and that Clippers team makes some noise during the season, that's a place to potentially look. So, shoot, talk to me about Kawhi.
Well, let's talk about it. So this is their lineup. They have Nick Batum, Zubac, Eric Bledsoe, Reggie Jackson, and Paul George. What's the? Remember how I talked about Dylan Brooks yesterday, guys, and how he fits the rotation and he kind of is a puzzle piece that completes everything? This is just Kawhi doesn't add anything. Or let me rephrase it. Kawhi is just going to knock out Reggie Jackson or Eric Bledsoe, who their only skill is really shooting the ball. So what value? Kawhi's better than both of those guys. It's not even close. But he doesn't add anything compared to what they have now because he's going to relegate one of the guys to the bench. So, and what I mean by that is he's still going to put up his incredible numbers of probably 25, 10, and 5. But I don't think the team's success, I don't think the team is built to make that great of a run. I don't think they're going to match up well with the Warriors. I really don't think they're going to – they're a jump shooting team. And the Warriors, they're not going to have time to work on their defense. So they're not going to match up well with the Warriors. I don't think they get by the Lakers because, again, they're a jump shooting team and the Lakers are huge. I don't see it, man. I actually think Kawhi might be on the tail end of his career. Kawhi might be that guy that retires early out of nowhere like Ricky Williams, and we never even hear from him again.
Interesting. If I get a Kawhi order, I want him board man gets paid. I want him to sign the little board gets paid. That's mine.
I mean, you know what's funny with the Kawhi thing? For a while, it was and he was an enigma. Remember, he sat out a year playing with the Spurs. Then he won a championship with Toronto. It's this guy's kind of hilarious. Board man gets paid. And then the shtick's done. It went from he's an enigma to he's kind of funny to kind of we don't dislike him, but there's nothing to like about him. He's not endearing. He doesn't build a connection or a fan base or a connection with his fans. So, and I think that's important, right? I think there's more to basketball than just putting up incredible stats.
I think what carried him was he was the LeBron kryptonite for a while, and he just hasn't been that for several years. And that was a cool thing. You could build a name on that.
You could. So that's where I stand on him. I like him as a player. I think he's one of the top 5 players in the league. But I think, as you see with Anthony Davis, he's more. You got to build a fan base. You got to get fans to love you. Also, switching teams just doesn't help. Like, there's no loyalty. So that's where I stand on it.
Love it.
We'll be back
thanks
tomorrow.
everybody. And before we disconnect, happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. We will not be speaking to you again until next week. So by the time you hear from us again on this Collectable episode, this might be the only episode you listen to from a Collectable standpoint. If you're a fractional head, happy Thanksgiving.
We're about 2 months out from Mint Collective, and as it's getting closer, I am more excited. I love Vegas in general. I think Vegas is one of the most fun places in the world. I'm excited for the lineup. There's going to be a good amount of hobby people, a good amount of people that are kind of business people, journalist media like the Pompolino brothers, Joe Pomp, Dana White. So it's going to be a really awesome blend. So you have the hobby here, just traditional collectors, card ladder, those guys. Then you have business people and you have Vegas. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to be there. We're going to be doing events. We're going to be vlogging. We're going to be buying cards. We're going to be doing giveaways. I think it's just going to be a blast. I hope you guys are there. We're going to be doing some giveaways too. But if you haven't gotten your ticket, go to mintcollective.com and you'll see it. Or just Google Mint Collective. And
in the coming weeks, we're going to have some cool content coming out of the Mint Collective as well. We're starting to record our own, some of the most fun conversations we've had. So look forward to that coming out of Mint Collective as well. And yeah, man, I mean, what's better than Vegas in the winter? Break up the winter, break up end of January.
I think of one thing, and that's just having a partner who holds me accountable to high standards, but it's also fucking hilarious.
It's what we try, man. Listen, this is fun. I like this stuff. I like the Collectable episodes. It's it's got a different vibe, and we hope you guys enjoy it. Let us know, and thanks for listening.